What's worse than spending your hard-earned cash on a pickup truck, only to have it turn into a money pit? Today, we're breaking down the absolute worst pickup trucks that buyers have run from in droves. These aren't just bad choices, they're mechanical disasters plagued by constant breakdowns, sky-high repair costs, and tanking resale values. From weak engines and failing transmissions, to electrical gremlins and never-ending recalls, these trucks are the ones you'll want to avoid at all costs. Let's jump right into our list of the 20 worst pickup trucks that nobody wants to own. Number 20. 2003-2006 Subaru Baja. Subaru thought they could win over truck buyers with a car-based pickup, but the market had other plans. Aiming for 24,000 sales per year, Subaru struggled to sell just 30,000 Bajas over 4 years. So what went wrong? The Baja suffered from a serious identity crisis, too small and unconvincing as a truck, yet too awkward for Subaru's loyal car buyers. While its reliability wasn't awful, thanks to shared parts with the Outback, the 2.5-litre Boxer engine was infamous for external head gasket failures around 80,000 miles. Many owners faced 1,500-plus repair bills for oil and coolant leaks. To make matters worse, the tiny bed was nearly useless, and the mid-gate pass-through felt like an afterthought. By 2006, with annual sales plummeting to just 5,000 units, Subaru pulled the plug on this failed experiment. Number 19. 2009 to 2013 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 Hybrid. General Motors' first attempt at a hybrid pickup was an absolute flop, and almost no one bought it. In its debut year, Chevy sold fewer than 250 units. Yes, you heard that right. Even at its peak, this so-called eco-friendly truck barely managed a 1,500 annual sales, while regular Silverados flew off lots with over 300,000 sold per year. So what went wrong? The two-mode hybrid system, co-developed with BMW and Chrysler, added complexity without delivering real benefits. City fuel economy improved by just 33%, while highway mileage stayed virtually the same. Worse yet, owners who did take the plunge faced constant headaches. The high-voltage battery pack under the rear seat was prone to overheating, leading to major recalls. The electrical inverter module could fail without warning, leaving drivers stranded. Even the transmission struggled, creating a jerky, shuddering ride as it awkwardly switched between gas and electric power. All of this trouble came with a hefty $4,000 premium over a standard Silverado, plus reduced towing capacity and questionable long-term reliability. By 2013, GM quietly pulled the plug on this failed experiment, long after buyers had already rejected it. Number 18. 2022 Toyota Tundra. Toyota has built its reputation on rock-solid reliability, which makes the 2022 Tundra's issues all the more shocking. Consumer Reports ranked it dead last among full-size trucks for reliability, even going as far as to withdraw its recommended status. A rare embarrassment for Toyota. The trouble started with the all-new twin-turbo 3.5-litre V6. Owners reported check engine lights and sudden power loss due to failing wastegate valves in the turbochargers, forcing Toyota to issue a major recall. But the damage to its reputation was already done. The new multi-link rear suspension also proved troublesome, as a recall revealed that rear axle nuts could loosen, potentially leading to complete axle shaft separation. Even the tech wasn't spared. Tundra's 14-inch touchscreen was notorious for freezing or randomly rebooting, sometimes requiring a full restart of the truck. Despite selling around 104,000 units in 2022, an improvement over the previous generation's 81,000, it was still nowhere near Ford's staggering 653,000 F-Series sales. When Toyota stumbles this badly on reliability, truck buyers take notice and look elsewhere. Number 17. 1993 to 1998. Toyota T100. Here's a rare case where reliability wasn't the issue, yet the truck still flopped. The Toyota T100 was the brand's first attempt at a full-size pickup, but it completely missed the mark. Despite earning above-average reliability ratings from Consumer Reports, it never caught on with buyers. At its peak, Toyota only sold 40,000 units per year, just a fraction of what domestic trucks were moving. By its final year in 1998, sales had plummeted to a dismal 6,000 units. So, what went wrong? The T100 was stuck in an awkward middle ground. Slightly smaller than a full-size truck, but without the capabilities to compete. It lacked a V8 option, and early models didn't even offer an extended cab. The 3.0-litre V6 was notorious for head gasket failures, prompting a recall. Even when upgraded, the truck remained underpowered, with just 150 to 190 horsepower. Worse yet, it was too expensive for what it offered and couldn't match domestic trucks in towing capacity. Even Toyota's legendary reliability couldn't save the T100 from its fundamental shortcomings. However, the failure of this truck paved the way for Toyota to rethink its strategy, eventually leading to the more competitive Tundra. Number 16. 2002 Lincoln Blackwood. Want to see what a true sales disaster looks like? Lincoln expected to sell 10,000 Blackwoods annually, but the luxury pickup was such a flop that it was discontinued after just 1 year, with only 3,383 units ever built. The Blackwood is a prime example of what happens when designers prioritize luxury over actual truck functionality. Its carpeted bed was sealed with a power tonneau cover, making it completely impractical for hauling. Worse, the cover frequently malfunctioned, and water intrusion was a common issue. Lincoln limited the Blackwood to a single configuration: black exterior, black interior, and rear-wheel drive. That's right, no four-wheel drive option on a $52,000 truck in 2002. That was a deal-breaker for many luxury truck buyers. While the air suspension provided a smooth ride, it wasn't designed for serious work, further limiting its appeal. Ford executives later called the Blackwood the fastest flop we've ever seen. Many units sat on dealer lots deep into 2003, requiring massive discounts to move. The Blackwood remains the gold standard for trucks nobody bought, a cautionary tale of how not to design a luxury pickup. Number 15. 2003-2006 Chevrolet SSR. The Chevrolet SSR wasn't just a truck, it was an identity crisis on wheels. Chevy tried to blend a retro-styled convertible with a pickup bed, but the result satisfied neither truck buyers nor sports car enthusiasts. In its best year, Chevy managed to sell just 9,000 units. The SSR's signature retractable hardtop quickly became its biggest headache. Owners reported frequent roof malfunctions, leaving the top stuck halfway open or completely misaligned. Dealerships struggled to diagnose and repair the issue, leading to costly fixes. Early models were powered by a weak 5.3-litre V8 paired with a 4-speed automatic, making the SSR sluggish despite its sporty intentions. Many owners also reported overheating issues when driven hard, as well as differential whine that required dealer intervention. Then there was the bed, tiny and impractical, failing to appeal to actual truck users. The SSR's $42,000 starting price put it in Corvette territory, but without the performance to justify it. After just 24,000 units sold over 4 years, Chevy pulled the plug. The SSR found itself rejected by both truck lovers and sports car fans, proving that sometimes trying to be everything means ending up as nothing. Number 14. 2004-2012 GMC Canyon, first generation. The first generation GMC Canyon was supposed to be a more premium mid-size truck, but buyers weren't fooled. It was just a rebadged Chevy Colorado with all the same issues. Consumer Reports gave early models poor reliability ratings, and by 2012, sales had plummeted to just 2,200 units annually, barely enough to justify keeping it in production. One of the biggest headaches was the 3.5-litre inline-5 engine, which was notorious for cylinder head failures that required costly repairs. GM eventually extended warranties to cover the issue, but by then, the Canyon's reputation was already in the gutter. Electrical problems were another major issue. Faulty gauge clusters, fuel sensors, and ignition switches were common, while recalls plagued the truck with brake light failures and faulty side impact airbag wiring. By the end of its run, most GMC dealers didn't even bother keeping the Canyon in stock. When it disappeared after 2012, hardly anyone noticed or cared. Number 13. 2004-2012 Chevrolet Colorado, first generation. When a truck makes Consumer Reports' used cars to avoid list, you know it's a disaster. The first generation Chevy Colorado started strong, selling 150,000 units in 2005, but by 2012, demand had collapsed to fewer than 4,000 units. At the heart of its reliability problems were its oddball engines, a 2.8-litre four-cylinder and a 3.5-litre five-cylinder. The five-cylinder was especially troublesome, suffering from cylinder head failures that led to misfires and power loss. GM was forced to extend the warranty after widespread reports of valve and seat wear. Electrical gremlins plagued the truck, with failing instrument clusters, faulty fuel level sensors, and problematic ignition switches. Even the AC blower resistor was a common failure point, leaving drivers sweating in the summer. The Colorado was also hit with multiple recalls, including one for defective brake lamp switches that could prevent the brake lights from activating, a major safety hazard. By the time Chevy pulled the plug in 2012, the Colorado's reputation was so damaged that GM had to temporarily abandon the mid-size truck market altogether. Number 12, 2005 to 2011, Dodge Ram Dakota, third generation. The final generation Dakota is a textbook case of how a once popular truck can fade into obscurity. In 2005, Dodge moved over 100,000 units, but by its last year in 2011, sales had plunged to just 10,000. Consumer Reports rated the 2005 Dakota much worse than average for reliability, citing widespread issues with the engine, suspension, and drivetrain. The base 3.7-litre V6 was underpowered and notorious for excessive valve and lifter noise, while the optional 4.7-litre V8 suffered from catastrophic valve seat failures. Suspension problems were another headache, with premature wear on ball joints, tie rods, and wheel bearings. The Dakota's HVAC system was also a known trouble spot, with blower motor failures leaving drivers sweating in the summer or freezing in winter. Dodge failed to meaningfully update the truck throughout its lifespan, and by 2010, it was essentially the same vehicle introduced in 2005, while the competition had moved forward. It had grown nearly as large as a full-size truck, but lacked the capability, refinement, and resale value to compete, leading most buyers to look elsewhere. Number 11, 2001, 2005, 2007 to 2010, Ford Explorer Sport Trac. The Ford Explorer Sport Trac attempted to blend an SUV and a pickup, but buyers ultimately rejected the compromise. Sales started strong at 70,000 units in 2001, but plummeted to just 5,000 by 2010. The first-generation Sport Trac was plagued with reliability issues, earning a spot on Consumer Reports' Used Cars to Avoid list. The biggest culprit was the notorious Ford 5R55 transmission, which often failed before reaching 70,000 miles. Meanwhile, the 4.0-litre SOHC V6 suffered from a defective timing chain tensioner, and if left unchecked, it could lead to catastrophic engine failure. Owners dreaded the telltale rattling noise at startup, an early warning of costly repairs. Interior durability was another weak point, with door handles, window regulators, and trim pieces prone to breaking. Even the second-generation model, which introduced independent rear suspension and an optional V8, couldn't shake the Sport Trac's reputation for mediocrity. In the end, the concept of an SUV-based crew cab truck proved too niche, especially as more refined mid-size pickups took over the market. Ford finally discontinued the Sport Trac after 2010, leaving behind a truck that peaked early and faded into obscurity. Number 10, 2009-2010 Hummer H3T. With just 2 years in production, the Hummer H3T barely made a dent in the truck market, and hardly anyone noticed. In 2009, only about 2,700 units were sold, and by 2010, fewer than 1,000 left dealership lots before GM shut down the entire Hummer brand. Built on the already problematic Chevy Colorado platform, the H3T inherited many of its flaws. The standard 3.7-litre five-cylinder engine was notorious for cylinder head failures, leading to misfires and power loss. Even the optional 5.3-litre V8 had issues. Its cooling system was undersized, making it prone to overheating during slow off-road crawls. A frustrating flaw for a truck marketed as an off-road machine. The H3T also suffered from poor timing. Launched in late 2008 amid a recession, rising fuel prices, and growing backlash against Hummer's gas-guzzling image, it never stood a chance. With terrible fuel economy and a limited payload capacity, the H3T became one of the worst-selling trucks in recent history, a rare oddity that most buyers never even knew existed. Number 9. 2005-2009 Hummer H2 SUT. If you wanted a truck with excessive weight, terrible fuel economy, and questionable reliability, the H2 SUT was your answer. Weighing in at a massive 6,600 pounds, it was essentially an H2 SUV with a small, compromised pickup bed. Reliability was a disaster, with Consumer Reports consistently rating it far below average. Its sheer weight and complexity put a strain on nearly every component. Front differentials and half shafts frequently failed under off-road conditions, ironic for a vehicle built to tackle rugged terrain. The undersized brakes struggled to stop the behemoth, leading to warped rotors and frequent replacements. Early models with the 6.0-litre V8 and 4-speed automatic often needed transmission rebuilds before hitting 100,000 miles. Fuel economy was a laughable 10 mpg, draining wallets and even putting stress on the fuel system itself. Some owners experienced premature fuel pump failures. Initially a flashy status symbol, the H2 SUT sold around 33,000 units in 2004, but interest quickly faded. By 2009, fewer than 1,100 were sold before production ended. The H2 SUT became a prime example of how quickly consumer tastes shift once the novelty wears off. Number 8. 2006-2008 Isuzu I-Series. If you've never heard of the Isuzu I-Series, you're not alone. Even in its best year, Isuzu sold just 4,037 of these rebadged Chevy Colorados, a tiny fraction of what the already struggling Colorado managed. The I-Series inherited all of the Colorado's notorious reliability problems, including the infamous cylinder head failures on the inline-5 engine. Premature valve seat wear led to misfires and expensive repairs. Other headaches included hard-shifting automatic transmissions, failing HVAC blower resistors, and persistent check engine lights caused by emission system leaks. Build quality was subpar, with flimsy interior trim and weak weather seals that made the truck feel cheap. Worse yet, Isuzu's shrinking dealer network made repairs and parts increasingly difficult to source. By 2008, sales had dropped to just 2,998 units, and in 2009, only 227 were sold before Isuzu abandoned the US passenger vehicle market entirely. The I-Series was a textbook example of failed badge engineering, a desperate attempt to keep a dying brand on life support. Number 7. 2002-2013 Cadillac Escalade EXT. Cadillac's luxury pickup started strong but faded into irrelevance over its 12-year run. In 2003, over 14,000 units were sold, but by 2013, that number had plummeted to fewer than 2,000 before Cadillac finally pulled the plug. Despite its premium branding, the Escalade EXT suffered from poor reliability ratings year after year. Air suspension failures were common, with rear auto-leveling shocks and compressors frequently requiring costly repairs. Many owners delayed fixing these issues due to the high expense. The first-generation model, 2002 to 2006, used a 6.0-litre V8 and a transmission that struggled under the Escalade's hefty weight. Premature transmission failures before 100,000 miles were not uncommon. The second generation introduced a more powerful 6.2-litre V8, but with it came cylinder deactivation problems, including collapsed lifters leading to misfires and even camshaft damage. Complicated electronics only added to the headaches. Navigation systems glitched, power running boards stopped working, and door handles were prone to breaking. As gas prices soared and the 2008 recession hit, demand for a luxury pickup with high maintenance costs and limited practicality all but disappeared. The Escalade EXT became a niche relic of an era when excess outweighed common sense. Number 6. 2006 to 2008 Lincoln Mark LT. After the failure of the Lincoln Blackwood, Lincoln took another shot at a luxury pickup with the Mark LT and failed again. Sales peaked at 12,753 units in 2006, but nosedived to just 4,631 by 2008, forcing Lincoln to pull the plug after only 3 model years in the US. Reliability issues plagued the Mark LT from the start, mirroring the well-documented problems of the 2004-2006 F-150 it was based on. The 5.4-litre Triton V8 was infamous for its loud cam phaser ticking noise and spark plugs that seized and broke off in the heads. turning a routine tune-up into a costly ordeal. Owners also reported four-wheel drive failures due to faulty vacuum solenoids or actuators. Common complaints included power window malfunctions and HVAC blower resistor failures. Ultimately, buyers saw through the Mark LT. It was just a dressed-up F-150 without any real advantages. Ford wisely replaced it with the F-150 Platinum trim, which offered the same luxury features without the Lincoln badge's identity crisis. Interestingly, the Mark LT found a more loyal following in Mexico, where it remained in production until 2014. Number 5. 2009-2012 Suzuki Equator. The Suzuki Equator is a textbook example of a dying brand trying to stay relevant through badge engineering and failing. Suzuki projected over 5,000 annual sales, but reality was far worse, with an average of just 2,000 units per year. In total, only 5,808 Equators were ever sold in the US, making it one of the rarest modern trucks on American roads. As a rebadged Nissan Frontier, the Equator inherited all of its mechanical flaws. Early models were susceptible to the notorious radiator failure that plagued Frontiers, where coolant leaked into the transmission fluid, often requiring a full transmission replacement. The 4.0-litre V6 also suffered from timing chain whine due to worn tensioners, and fuel gauge sender failures were another common headache. When Suzuki exited the US market in 2012, Equator owners were left struggling with parts availability and service support. With no real advantage over the identical Frontier, which had Nissan's much larger dealer network, buyers had no reason to pick the Equator. It remains a rare sight today, not because it's a collector's item, but because almost no one bought one in the first place. Number 4. 2006-2000 Mitsubishi Raider. The Mitsubishi Raider was a disastrous attempt at re-entering the pickup market, and it failed in spectacular fashion. In its best year, fewer than 10,000 units were sold. By 2009, sales had collapsed to just 1,946, and in 2010, only 9 Raiders were sold, yes, single digits, as dealers cleared out the last remaining stock. A rebadged Dodge Dakota, the Raider inherited all of its donor truck's reliability issues without any Mitsubishi-specific improvements. Prematurely worn-out front suspension ball joints, weak HVAC blower motors, and transmission failures, especially in V8 models, were common complaints. Early manual transmission models were even recalled for a faulty clutch interlock switch that could allow the truck to start in gear without the clutch depressed, creating a serious safety hazard. With little brand recognition in the truck segment, underwhelming performance, and Mitsubishi's shrinking dealer network, the Raider never stood a chance. It disappeared after just 4 model years, making it one of the fastest failures in pickup history. Number 3. 2020-21 Jeep Gladiator. The Jeep Gladiator had all the ingredients for success. Legendary off-road capability, paired with pickup practicality. But early models were plagued with issues that landed them at the bottom of Consumer Reports' reliability rankings for mid-size trucks. Steering and suspension problems surfaced quickly, with many owners experiencing steering wander and, in some cases, the dreaded death wobble, a violent front-end shake at highway speeds. Jeep issued technical service bulletins for the steering damper, but for some, the fixes didn't fully resolve the problem. Manual transmission models suffered from a dangerous clutch pressure plate defect that could overheat and shatter, leading to multiple fire-related recalls. Jeep's solution? A software update that reduces engine torque when the clutch gets too hot. Not exactly ideal for an off-road focused truck. Premature clutch failures, sometimes before 20,000 miles, were another common issue. Other complaints included water leaks from the removable roof, electronic glitches, check engine lights, and backup camera failures. While the Gladiator wasn't a total sales flop, Jeep sold about 77,000 units in 2021. Its reliability issues and premium price kept many traditional truck buyers away. Number 2. 2005-2008 Nissan Frontier. The 2005-2008 Nissan Frontier is notorious for one of the worst reliability nightmares in pickup history. The strawberry milkshake of death. A design flaw in the radiator allowed coolant to mix with transmission fluid, creating a milky sludge that could destroy the transmission. While Nissan extended warranties for affected models, many owners still faced $3,000 plus repair bills when failures occurred outside the coverage window. Beyond that, these Frontiers suffered from timing chain tensioner failures, leading to a whining noise and eventual engine damage if not addressed. Leaking axle seals were another common issue, adding to maintenance headaches. These problems were so severe that buyer's guides routinely warned shoppers to avoid these model years. After nearly 2 decades with minimal updates, Nissan finally redesigned the Frontier for 2022, but the problems didn't stop. The new model debuted as Consumer Reports' least reliable mid-size truck, earning a dismal 23,100 reliability score. Early owners reported glitchy infotainment screens, rattling interior trim, and even a dangerous defect that could cause the truck to roll away in park, leading to a massive recall of over 180,000 units. With sales dropping below 25,000 units annually by 2021 to 2022, Nissan's long-standing reliability concerns and new design flaws have continued to push buyers toward competitors. Number 1. 2016-2019 Nissan Titan. Taking the top spot as the worst truck nobody buys is the second-generation Nissan Titan. When it debuted in 2016, Nissan set an ambitious target of 100,000 annual US sales, but the Titan never even came close. By 2017, sales peaked at just 52,000, and by 2022, they plummeted to a dismal 15,000 units. Consumer Reports consistently rated the Titan's reliability below average, with drivetrain and build quality issues persisting throughout its run. One of the biggest complaints was its 7-speed transmission, which suffered from rough shifting and sudden jerking, problems Nissan never fully resolved. Meanwhile, the Titan XD's optional Cummins diesel proved to be a disaster, plagued by fuel pump failures and turbocharger issues that frustrated owners. Safety concerns also surfaced, as 2020-2022 Titans were recalled due to a faulty parking pole, which could cause the truck to roll away, the same defect that plagued the Frontier. For perspective on how badly the Titan failed, in 2023, Ford sold about 47 F-Series trucks for every single Titan that left a dealership. The writing was on the wall, and Nissan announced the Titan's discontinuation in 2023, ending its attempt to compete in the full-size truck market. With poor reliability, outdated design, and fierce competition from American brands, the Titan will be remembered as one of the biggest failures in modern truck history. And there you have it, the 20 worst trucks that almost nobody wants to buy, based on Consumer Reports data and sales figures. From badge-engineered flops to luxury trucks with no clear identity, these models stand as cautionary tales for both automakers and buyers. Have you ever owned one of these troubled trucks? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Or let us know if you think another truck deserved a spot on this list. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more automotive content. And we'll see you in the next video.